What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I will be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And returning, we have Haley.
Hello.
And Teresa.
Hi.
And this is part 2 of our spring anime preview. Before we get started, we do have to address the elephant in the room. Cameron, do you want to break the bad news?
Yeah, during this week, Kentaro Miura, the famed and loved author of the Berserk series, passed away at the age of 54 due to an aortic dissection, and I hope I said that right, on May 20th. Well, it was announced on May 20th. He passed away on May 6th. And, well, as it's sad, like one of the most prolific manga artists around passed away, and now a prolific dark fantasy anime that inspired so much, like Dark Souls, Monster Hunter, and much more would never have been made if Berserk wasn't made. And what's worse is that he died of a health issue that was caused by stress, and he was not able to take care of himself. And he had to go on multiple hiatuses because of his health issues, because the manga and anime industry are not great places to work. And just rest in peace, Kentaro, and just for anyone working in the animation industry and manga, just make sure to fight for and support better working conditions, unionize, do what you need to, and make sure to take care of your personal health. And this is also off of the tail end of the news story about the MAPPA animator quitting because of the terrible working conditions at the famed studio. Any thoughts or 2 cents?
Really, I just hope that in the future more manga artists and people in this industry take care of themselves and do whatever they can to ensure a higher quality of life.
Yeah, I think we're getting to a point where a lot of how this industry runs is completely untenable, and change needs to happen because we're losing people right and left who should still be here. And this is far from the first time that an animator or manga artist has basically died from overwork, and that's unacceptable and unconscionable to continue supporting.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like when you get to the point that you have to hire animators over Twitter, that's a huge problem. And so many of the famed studios in Japan, like even Ghibli, the most beloved of the studios there, burned through their talent. And that's not okay. And now look in the situation they're in. They have one movie coming out, but no one else to make movies with or to help make movies for and what have you. So, Teresa, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's really sad, and I don't know why it's so hard to just help pay for people to live, and protect your workforce, but that's like a whole capitalism rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, we're saying like just unionize and get better working conditions. Like that's as easy.
So
as
easy, yeah.
Yeah, it's not as you can't just flip a coin and say done or snap your fingers and what have you. But I mean, I wish you could. It's just a shame that more studios can't be like Kyoto Annie and such, where there's better working conditions and what have you. I'm sure they still have their faults, but still.
And the worst part about this, which kind of transitions into the main topic of this podcast, is the anime industry isn't slowing down. In fact, it seems like every year we get like so many more new series and returning favorites coming. So, production's not going to slow down anytime soon.
And Kadokawa just announced that like we're going to make 40 anime a year, and it's like, good lord, that's insane.
I don't see how it's tenable from a consumer side either. I'm so burnt out after doing this exercise for this podcast on anime. Like, I'm really glad that my most anticipated show went to Netflix and I can watch that in a couple of months while not in the middle of all of this,
Right.
Same.
Right.
Like, I have such a hard time imagining that this level of output is what the consumer actually wants. So, like, because it's completely indefensible from a labor standpoint, and we've talked about that. But
Right.
From a consumer standpoint, like how many people are really sitting here watching every single shovelware that comes out every season?
They're not.
It's like, and with streaming picking up a lot of the older shows now too and such, I just don't understand why we need 120 shows a year.
We really don't.
Yeah. I'm sure, I mean, a new show, the potential for money is higher than an old show that people didn't already license and, bring over here. So when they say I'm going to make 40 shows, they're like, yeah, 40 potential shows I could hook people with. And then hopefully it's very similar to what Netflix does. It's like, we're just going to get a lot of stuff and hope some sticks. And then we'll do some more.
Which on its face isn't a terrible idea, but those aren't all hand drawn over at Netflix. Those are all, they threw a camera at 40 different guys who can go off and do their own thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, you need to get better, anime industry. We want to love and watch these shows, but the workers need to come first. Their health, their safety, and maybe you wouldn't have to split multiple directors and multiple projects in from one studio and such. So, but I think let's get started with this second half because that's where because we still got a lot, but we're not as much as last time. So the genre categories of anime we're going to cover this time are drama, action adventure or / adventure. So it's like and or depending on how you cut it. Romance and romance / comedy or the rom-com. Any quick thoughts about this batch of shows before we head into the first of the drama?
My overall thoughts are out of this batch specifically, I think there were less good shows, but the few that were good were great. But some of them that were bad were, well, we'll get to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this batch is a lot more inconsistent. And I mean, granted, it makes me realize how many original anime came out this season. And that's impressive. Not many of them come out every season or even just in every year. And yeah, no, the great ones really stand out. The bad ones really stand out. What do you think, Haley?
As I say, I basically agree with that last episode when I said, I feel like I could recommend all of these to at least somebody. There's stuff that we're covering today that I wouldn't recommend to anybody at all. But there is some really, really strong stuff in this episode too.
Right. Teresa, what do you think?
Yeah, totally agree. I didn't get to everything, but what I watched, I'm like pretty hooked on. And the ones that I was a bit more than a bit confused on, I'm like, I wish I had that time back.
Oh, I wish I keep asking and it never seems to happen. So
it's okay.
All right, so let's start with our first drama of the season, Hige Hero. After being rejected, I shaved and took in a high school runaway. Okay. So, when regular salaryman Yoshida wakes up one Sunday morning after a long night at the bar, the last thing he expects to see is that his tiny apartment has a new resident, an unfamiliar high school girl. The previous night, despite finally gathering the courage to confess to his boss and longtime crush, Airi Goto, Yoshida was rejected. After drowning his sorrows at a bar with his good friend Hashimoto, Yoshida headed back to his home in a drunken stupor, only to run into Sayu Ogiwara, a runaway high schooler. She asks him to let her stay tonight, and with his judgment clouded by alcohol, Yoshida complied. Now with his head on straight, but with no memory of last night's events, Yoshida has Sayu explain just how she ended up sleeping at his apartment. Having listened to her story, Yoshida finds himself unable to kick her out, especially after learning that she came all the way from Hokkaido. So, despite her reservations about sheltering an underage girl, Yoshida allows her to stay, and their life together begins. Okay, I like to go first on this one because I'm of two thoughts about this show. It's stuck between two different ways of wanting to tell its story. On one hand, you have a drama about a bunch of young adults and I assume a wayward teen, and they're flawed. They have a lot of emotional, maybe like human baggage attached to them, and it's all about them just confronting them. And it's a very low-key kind of show, and I like seeing the characters interact with one another. It feels very mature and adult. It reminds me of the spring 2020 anime Sing Yesterday for me. And just in that regard of just like, what kind of person are you right now, and where do you want your life to go, and who do you want to be with? The other half is a fan servicey fantasy of a guy in his 20s having a high schooler stay with him. And even though she offers herself to him in exchange for her staying there, he's like, no, men who sleep with high schoolers are garbage. And then it's like, okay, there's a lot of creepy moments and elements about this show. And then it's like, oh, it's not focusing on those creepy elements. Oh man, that's great. And then the third episode happens, and some of this is meant to be uncomfortable. I get that. That's the point. Like, these people need to change, or like need to let go of the baggage that they carry with them. But then you see like the camera focus on the girl's body, and it lingers a little too long every time, every shot. And I just don't know what this show wants to do. Like, does it want to be the drama, or do you want to be this fetishy, fan servicey kind of show, but with drama in it? So I don't know. I think it's the weakest of the dramas, and I don't know what I was expecting. I was kind of liking it at first because this came out around the same time as Koikimo, which we'll talk about later. And I was just thinking like, yeah, I like this way more than that one. But then as it went on, it really just didn't gel with me anymore. Mike, what did you think about this show?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you said about the very inconsistent tone. I think like there are certain elements that you can change, but keep like the sort of the general through line of, two young adults who help each other get through their baggage. Like she didn't need to be a high schooler. Like he didn't need like the whole guilty conscience of the whole sleeping with a high schooler is bad, so I'm not going to do it. But then like the anime is like pretty much goading him and the audience on with all the fan service. I also agree that this is practically The Godfather compared to Koikimo, but that doesn't necessarily make it good on its own merits. I don't know if I can comfortably recommend this one. I think only check it out if you're that curious.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Haley, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much nailed the central problem I have with this, which is the writing of this show is telling a very different story from the animation of this show. I think that clearly there was some directive somewhere that they needed to make this show sexier. And this is the plot of the show about a teenage runaway who's clearly dealt with sexual abuse, finding refuge in the home of a man who's actually decent. Definitely did not need super fan servicey shots of a high school girl in underwear to sell lewd statues. Like, it's very at odds with each other, because I have really no complaints about the writing beyond a superficial level. I think the boss character would be fired in a non-anime setting. She's very inappropriate with her team, but as a character, she works fine. That was really my only complaint, beyond how uncomfortable it is to frame this teen girl who is dealing with the aftermath assaults. The narrative makes it pretty clear that she's been assaulted. It's very uncomfortable that she's framed in a sexy way when her main plot line is adjusting to a life where she's not just constantly wanted for her body and tossed away. It's not done well.
Yeah.
I saw that this was based on a light novel, and I'd be interested in reading the light novel, because I do think that the story, while uncomfortable, so far is compelling to me, and I would be interested in seeing how it plays out. I don't feel like the writing is taking us to a place where they're going to pair off this 27-year-old with this 15-year-old, which is great. And Yoshida, on his own merits, is like one of the best anime dudes this season, just by virtue of not being a total pig. And yeah, this could have been really something very unique, hard to watch, but very special if the animation team and the writing team was on the same page, and they're definitely not.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of worried now if I do start watching it more that it's like, because like I got to the point where it's like, okay, the high schooler, the lead, Sayu, is going to get a job and she's going to have like another young girl, young high schooler, like as a friend and such. So it's like, okay, that's good. She's going to have someone else around her age.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to, but I also read a little bit ahead just to see what happens, and oy, uh, a few things are going to make this show stumble. So watch it if you want. But I definitely don't fully recommend it. I'm worried it's going to be like seeing yesterday for me, and it is going to be with Yoshida getting Getter Sayu, and I just do not want that to happen. That's what happened in seeing yesterday for me, and I hated it. I hated the ending so much. I was so mad about it. I think Michael can tell you. I was like, God dang it.
Yeah, I remember hearing your reaction being like, oh well, that's what that's what happens when it goes in that direction.
Yeah, it didn't need to. It didn't need to. Anyway, let's move on. Our next one is called 86, and this one's pretty loaded. So let's get down to the synopsis. According to the Republic of San Mongolia, their ongoing war against the Gladian Empire has no casualties. However, that is mere propaganda. While the silver-haired Alba of the Republic's 85 sectors live safely behind protected walls, those of different appearances are interned in a secret 86 faction, known within the military as the 86. They are forced to fight against the Empire's autonomous legion under the command of the Republican handlers. Vladilena Melise is assigned to the Spearhead Squadron to replace her previous handler. Shunned by her peers for being a fellow 86 supporter, she continues to fight against their inhumane discrimination. Shinei Nozen is the captain of the Spearhead Squadron, infamous for being the sole survivor of every squadron he's been in. He insists on shouldering the names and wishes of his fallen comrades. When the fates of these young souls from two different worlds collide, will it ignite the spark that lights their path to salvation, or will they burn themselves in the flames of despair? I quite like this one. It's absolutely not subtle. I mean, that whole synopsis kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of interesting when I was first watching this. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's anti-war drama, yada yada. It's kind of typical. The CGI is a little clunky, but that's no shock. And then the post-credit scene happens, and it's like, and I was like, man, but I wonder why our lead cares so much about these AI. And then it cuts to who actually pilots the mechs, and it's like, oh, that got dark. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, I think literally my biggest problem with the series is kind of like the ongoing problem that a lot of modern mech series have. You know, this isn't like the days of Gundam or Gurren Lagann or some of the other titles. You know, most modern mechs have kind of an overload of CGI, and it doesn't always mesh with like the traditional animation. But if that's my biggest issue with this series, then it's actually doing a damn good job. I really like the story between like this handler and this like ragtag team of like mech pilots, or the Spearhead Squadron as they call themselves. It's a very fascinating take on this sort of story. And yeah, the like once you actually find out like at the end of this episode like who these people are that she's watching from a distance, it really does kind of remind you of, have any of you guys seen the movie with Helen Mirren called Eye in the Sky?
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah, you kind of get like that sort of feeling where, you know, the one who's sort of leading these troops is like as far away from the battlefield as possible.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so who wants to go next?
I can go because yeah, I thought this was really well done. By the point I cut off at the 3 episodes, there's clearly a lot more to this series that needs to be unraveled. But I think this show had some of the best pacing of any of the other shows, does a really good job of spooling out kind of its not super subtle world building. Starts out subtle, which was nice. Didn't just throw you straight into the deep end. But I think the CG is absolutely distracting, like bad distracting,
Mhm.
but the story is able to kind of carry you through these battles of giant CG blobs. And I will say the fight choreography for them is pretty good. So at the very least, there's that. I think one of my only other problems with this show is I think the dialogue is not supernatural sounding, which doesn't matter when you're talking about a lot of jargon. Like episode 1, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sound natural, but they're trying to deliver exposition in a decent way, and there's a lot of terms we got to get through. Episode 3, when there's a lot of the slice of life elements, that's when you start kind of feeling the rustiness of the dialogue. There's virgin jokes, there's weirdly phrased questions about people liking people. It doesn't really sound like how people talk.
Right.
But it says a lot about the show's messages and how deeply it aims to get you invested in their characters, that you can kind of gloss over how stilted the dialogue can sound at times.
Yeah.
I think all of the voice actors in this are fantastic. There's no generic voices here. I think it was at the point at episode 3 where I could look away and know who was speaking, which is pretty rare for me in an anime show that quickly. So I really want to give props to the voice actors. Also, there is an insert song in episode 2 that sounds exactly like the fire starting song from Promare, and it was really distracting.
You want to know why?
It was probably sung by the same person. I had a feeling.
Hiroyuki Sawano was
Yes.
the composer for the music, so
Okay, makes total sense. I love that guy. I have Promare on vinyl, but it was a little jarring to hear Promare music in this gritty war drama.
Yeah, no, as the anime fans like to say, is that a Sawano drop? Yes, it is.
Yep, it is.
Teresa, what did you think about this show?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think what Haley's saying about the pacing is good. I do feel like there was a lot of jargon in the first episode. I was trying to figure out who was the bad guy. That was a little bit weird because they're showing the soldiers who are just getting drunk, and they're like, they're doing the twist about the AI, but not. And I was just kind of like, so you're at war, but no one really cares. And I'm just like, but how did I guess I had too many questions about how did the war start? What is the history? And I'm sure it's going to be revealed throughout the series, but I had so many questions because I was hooked. But yeah, I definitely like the characters. The CGI didn't bother me as much because I think I was fully like trying to quiz out like the mythology of everything in the world. I did feel like the tone, I know they're trying to lighten this year because it's a very serious show, but like the tone between like the scientist woman and the handler was a little bit jarring about their two different dispositions. But as the show went along, I definitely see she's becoming a little bit more jaded, less nationalist. That's kind of her arc, and I'm definitely interested in watching more.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job making the 86 squad like have real camaraderie. It reminds me of I don't know how many people have played this game, but Valkyria Chronicles.
I haven't played it, but I'm vaguely familiar with it.
It reminds me of that in a lot of ways, and it's just as subtle as this show with its politics. And I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, on one hand, you could say, "Oh yeah, the themes and the commentary are hit you in the face like a sledgehammer," but at the same time, subtlety is kind of dead. So,
I did find I liked the 86 squad more than anybody else.
Of course,
the way the worlds were put together, the yin and the yang. I appreciated it.
Yeah, no, I was really hooked into the characters, and at first I was like, man, they're not showing the action a whole lot. They're showing just like the screen that the handler sees, and then when a character dies in episode 3, it's like it still got me. I was like, oh no, like, and that's hard to do. So yeah, no, I thought this was pretty good.
I really liked that the sequences when they're all the 86s together. They reminded me a lot of the kind of quiet moments of the first season of Attack on Titan. It really has that kind of vibe where you're like, I like these people, do I want to get attached to these people? I feel like they're all going to die. So it's walking that line pretty well, and it also helps that they spend most of their time cleaning, and that the Levi knockoff is yelling at them about cleaning. So
yeah, no, that sounds about right.
So something else I like is each episode kind of like divides the perspective. Like one half you'll get the handler and her, like the tower that she's in and all of her coworkers, and then the other half will be, pretty much exclusively the Spear Squadron. That sort of divide is it's a good way to get like everyone's perspective.
Absolutely. So let's move on to our next drama, and probably one of my favorites, or surprises at least, Tokyo Revengers. So Takemichi Hanagaki's second year of middle school was the highest point in his life. He had respect, a gang of friends he could count on, and even a girlfriend. By the way, I hate reading this synopsis. It's so bad. But that was 12 years ago. Today, he's a nobody, a washed-up non-entity made fun of by children and always forced to apologize to his younger boss. A sudden news report on the Tokyo Manji gang's cruel murder of the only girlfriend he's ever had, alongside her brother, only adds insult to injury. Half a second before a train ends his pitiful life for good, Takemichi flashes back to that same day 12 years ago, when he was still dating Hinata Tachibana. After being forced to relive the very same day that began his downward spiral, Takemichi meets Hinata's younger brother. Without thinking, he admits to his seeming death before flashing back to the past. Takemichi urges him to protect his sister before unexpectedly returning to the future. Miraculously, he isn't dead. Stranger still, the future has changed. It seems as though Takemichi can alter the flow of time, given the chance to prevent his ex-girlfriend's tragic death at the hands of the Tokyo Manji gang. Takemichi decides to fly through time to change the course of the future. So, outside of a really bad synopsis and just advertising, how it's just like, this guy's a loser, he's still a virgin, which is, god dang it, marketing. Stop talking about that stuff. That's not fun or interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed this drama. I like seeing that we have a delinquent school drama again. It seems like we got a lot of those back in the 80s and 90s of anime, and then they slowly started to drop out, and or they moved to like Yakuza focused storylines, or like gang warfares and stuff, or like mafia and whatnot settings. And but I'll talk a little more about this later. Michael, what did you think?
The first episode, I thought I was gonna hate this at first because I wasn't really into the character, like the main character. I thought he was kind of a loser. And it wasn't until they revealed the time travel element where I actually started to get on board. Like, oh, so that's what you're doing. And then that's when things became more interesting. Almost like this was like it was like Brick, but mixed with Back to the Future, kind of.
Oh yeah.
It was a very welcome surprise. This is kind of like the opposite of how I think we all kind of felt with Full Dive, where instead of the quality going down after the twist, the quality only went up. And by episode 3, that's when I declared, okay, I'm in. I'm hooked now. I need to finish this.
Yeah, no, the characters are very interesting. Like at first I was like, I don't care about this kid's friends, and these thugs are cartoonishly psychotic. But then after everything mellows out and then you meet one of the future Tokyo Manji gang leaders, it started to get a lot more nuance. It gave Hinata more of a character as the episodes went on, and it was just a lot more enjoyable than you would think it is. And I have to say, I love that it's not a, man, my middle school days were the best. Nothing ever adds up to these glory days. No, the first episode's like, holy crap, my middle school days sucked. Haley, what did you think?
Yeah, I was a little worried when I started this series because I think the first 5 minutes you get the unnecessary focus on our lead being a virgin, his neighbor the only two female characters you get being the neighbor and his boss, both of whom are kind of hideous caricatures. And I was like, oh, and he was like, and the woman who died was his middle school girlfriend. He was like, the only woman I ever loved. I'm like, okay, I've seen this one 1,000 times before, so it's not going to go well. I was kind of rooting for the train at that point. But this really takes a hard turn, I'd say, after the first 10 minutes of that episode and starts really picking apart the scenario it's created. And I think this is the most compulsively watchable show of the season, wherein I did not realize I had gotten to the end of episode 3. Until basically the pop-up came up on my Crunchyroll. It was like, you want to watch more of this? And I'm like, yes, I don't have time, but yes. I really like how even starting in the beginning of this first episode, when he does get transported into his middle school days, he immediately starts pinging like, oh my God, I idealized this a whole lot. I look like an idiot. My friends seem really weird, and he starts to come to terms with both the good and the bad of his past, but does it in a very real way. And I think that helps set a good tone going into the big time travel twist. Hinata's brother in the current day, it got really hot. That was interesting. There's a couple of things about this show that do bother me a little bit. One is that the character designs make everyone look like they have like a droopy eyelid on the bottom of their eyes. And some characters, it's not as bad. But for a character like Hinata, where we're supposed to believe she's this great beauty.
I can see that not working.
And she kind of just looks like tired Uraraka from My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
So she develops into her own, and I'm glad that she started actually doing something like slapping gang leaders. Like she's really cool. I'm hoping that she gets more to do along those lines, because the first 2 episodes where she's just like, oh boy, you got into another fight again. And I'm like, dude, he's like practically dead. Can you offer anything but patching up his wounds? Yeah, Hinata is not a doctor was a note I wrote many times. The OP is great. It's an official Hige Dandism. If you're not aware of them, they are probably the biggest band currently in Japan, and you can kind of tell from the song, it's a banger. By episode 3, I was really on this show's wavelength and was totally in for this, like really, really in love with this. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And part of what you were saying, like that like delinquent kind of shows have died out a little bit. I was thinking about, because I was trying to think of the last real delinquent show I could remember, and it was Cromartie High School, which was a comedy. And I was starting to wonder, did that kill delinquent shows? I don't think it did. I think they're already kind of dying out. But it's cool to see them come back in such a pure form,
Right.
And one that doesn't glorify their delinquency. This show is brutal. This show is not kind to that lifestyle, and not through like explicit text demonizing it, but like just watching it, you sit there and you go, man, it's just a bunch of kids beating the shit out of each other. And the sound design, I was talking about this with Cameron, the sound design for this show is incredibly good, sickening almost how good it is. And it really does not make you want to be a part of this world. And I think that's a pretty interesting line to toe, because our lead is clearly going to get further and further into the Tokyo Manji gang as kind of like a time traveling mole. So it's a thin line to walk, where it's like we sympathize with him, but the narrative wants to make it clear that the world that he's getting involved in is not pretty, not glamorous, not fun. So I think it's doing a really good job of that so far. And yeah, I just really liked this. I'm rambling a lot now, but
I understand. One thing before Teresa, you go. Actually, Teresa, what did you think?
A little bit like I was like not feeling this show. Definitely the idea of kind of like middle school fights. Maybe the sound design was too good. I was like, I hope every episode is not fighting. But then when the actual gang leaders show up, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And definitely when she slapped the gang member, I was like, did not see that coming. These are definitely not stereotypical kind of reactions in the way that it's going, and I'm definitely on board to watch more. I wouldn't say this is like one of my faves, but I do like the time travel. As I said in the last episode, it always hooks me. It makes me more curious. So I'd probably give this show a couple more episodes.
Yeah, I will say like one of my favorite things to pop up from this show was how hold on a second. There we go. Sorry. Issue. Was that like when you first meet one of the heads of the future gang, he's fairly unassuming. He's kind of laid back. You kind of think the one with the dragon tattoo on his skull is the leader, and then he walks up to the guy who is basically running a fight club and just beats the tar out of him.
That scene was so satisfying.
Because a lot of the second episode was really brutal to watch, and it's like I like seeing our main character connect with him, and I love that it's like after you see Hinata slap him, like you think that him and his right hand are going to like beat the tar out of them. And it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, because it's like they just abruptly came to their school one day, and it's like, hey, main character, you want to hang out with us? And and you go outside the classroom and you see beat the tar out of all the third year students. And it's like, let's just like, and the right hand's like, okay, get into a line because it's going to hurt more if you don't lay on your stomachs. And they just walk on top of them. And it's like, oh, right. These guys aren't exactly good people. And when I was thinking they were going to beat the tar out of Hinata and our main character, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. And it's like, no, you two are actually really cool. And it's like, oh my God. It's like those moments where it's like you see in a drama or something, it's like they're about to get shot, and then it's like, nah, I'm not going to, and then they fall to their knees, like, oh my gosh. Like I had murder like 2 inches in front of me. So, but yeah, no, I thought this was a very stellar show. I can't wait to watch more of it. And it also has a pretty good ending song too. But yeah, the opening's a real bop. But let's talk about the next drama, those Snow White Notes. Setsu Saramura runs away from his small home village following the death of his grandfather, the legendary shamisen master Matsugoro Sawamura. On his deathbed, Matsugoro told Setsu to give up the shamisen if he was only going to imitate others instead of playing in his own way. Grieving, Setsu heads for Tokyo, hoping that the big city can inspire him to discover his own unique playing style. But Tokyo defies his expectations by drowning out all other sounds with the deafening noise of its city life. Concerned about her son, Setsu's rich and successful mother, Umeko, waltzes back into his life and forces him to enroll in the Umezono Academy. At the school, he meets Shuri Maeda, a girl who's fascinated by the Tsugaru Samisen and wishes to perform a song her grandmother once heard a long time ago. Shuri starts up a shamisen appreciation club and convinces Setsu to teach the members how to play the instrument. As he becomes more involved with the club, will Setsu be able to recover his love for the shamisen and discover the unique sound he lacks? I wasn't expecting this one to be one of my favorites. I was kind of ready for it to be like a style over substance kind of show. But then as the show went on, it was just like there is so much more story and emotion in this one show than like most anime I watch. And I think that's a lot of that is because of the music. The gorgeous shamisen music is just always the standout element of the show. And that also kind of helps because you have the famous Yoshida brothers supervising the music and helping out with the theme song and alongside Burnout Syndromes. And I think and they help out with the final song by Milia Kato. So Mike, what did you think about this show?
I thought kind of like you, I had no idea what to think of it going into it. And I think the second episode is probably my least favorite because it starts off a little jarring with Setsu's mother just like barging in like, oh hey, I'm taking you in now. But I think on the whole, a lot of what I loved about this anime was the music. I'm not too familiar with the Yoshida brothers, but what they contribute to the soundtrack for this show is awesome. every single time a character played the shamisen, it's like the animators just kind of went to town. Like they just let their imagination run wild with each of these sequences, and yeah, this is a very pleasant surprise. I also think Setsu is a very relatable character. Not just because he's still grieving the loss of his grandfather, who was very much into music, but just that like he's still trying to find his own voice, and I think that's kind of a cool coming of age story that like throughout the series we sort of see him like regain that spark that he once had for music.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much why the story's so compelling. Haley, what did you think?
So I liked this. I think the shamisen sequences are carrying it and making it better than the plot kind of is. It's the 3 episodes, we go in a lot of different places. We're finally seeming to get into a lane where there's a central plot going on and it's not going to shift away from it in the next episode, because the first episode has almost nothing to do with the rest of the series, which kind of made me sad because I really enjoyed that first episode. I liked the characters in it. I liked our protagonist meeting this struggling Gravere idol and her dick-ass boyfriend and his band. The designs on the band guys in that episode are fantastic. There's the dick who looks like every anime idol dick you've ever seen. And then there's a guy in his band who looks like Rivers Cuomo, and then there's a dude in his band that looks like Cartman. It doesn't make any sense, and it made me very happy. Once we move out of that into the main, he's living in Tokyo, his mom is funding him, he's going to school and meeting the Shamisen Appreciation Club members and the slightly suspicious Shamisen idol guy. I don't think it's as compelling as the narrative from episode 1 was, where it was really about how Tokyo and grief can make and break people in a big city, and that's a plot that I really like. It hits me right in the heart. Although I will say the sequence of Setsu playing the shamisen while his mother sings Ohara Bushi is probably the best sequence in any anime from this season. It's the best encapsulation of this show. And like I said, this is good, especially if you're into Japanese classical instrumentation. It's not the best thing, could be better, but it's pleasant, and I enjoyed watching it. Never really felt like anything was gross or flying off the rails at any point. It just felt like it could have used a couple touch-ups of its script to really tighten up how they wanted to plot this. I also like pointing out when school uniforms are creative and look nice. The school uniforms in this series are very cute, very good looking, not super sexualized and gross. I really like the girls' school uniforms that go down. They're almost like coats that go down in a big V. Sailor uniforms with the skirts. I don't know why I always notice when school uniforms like look cool. Maybe because so many series recently have been over designing them to the point of absurdity. But yeah, that's a random note.
No, I understand. It's a show that's probably one of the best looking shows of the season. Like it has very good animation, very good like art direction, and it's even like pretty funny at points. Like I wasn't expecting that, and no, but yeah. It's like it was kind of a toss up between this one and Tokyo Revengers of which one I think was better. They're kind of on the same level. They kind of have things that detract from one another. I think Snow White Notes is a little better just because of the shamisen and just the emotional experience of listening to that instrument. And maybe I am biased because it is the Yoshida brothers and I love them. And I still remember their tune that they did for the original Nintendo Wii commercial because, they're the ones who did the whole song for the We Would Like to Play commercials. Like,
that was them.
Yeah, that was them. And they were also the only good thing to happen to Ghibli 8. So their talent was utterly wasted on the worst show from 2020. So
I feel like Am I stupid, or did they do something for Kill Bill as well?
I'm sure they did. Let me do a quick.
I've heard their name many times before, and I was aware that they did the Wii commercials and whatnot, but I could have sworn they did something for Kill Bill, but I forgot to look it up.
No, I understand.
They did it. They did actually record a couple tracks for Disney's Nightmare Revisited.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No,
So the Yoshida brothers are great guys. You should listen to them.
there's a I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but I recommend people finding it. It's a YouTube video called Tap Dancing versus Shamisen. It's really cool. Like, it's probably one of my favorite videos to watch from time to time. I just realized, like, man, I haven't seen that video in a while.
If I can find it, I'll make sure we put it in the show notes.
Yeah. There's my quick little recommendation. Now, here's a fun fact. The director of those Snow White notes is the same director of our first show in the action adventure category. Oh, so Hiroaki Akagi was not only the director of those Snow White notes, but also of Combatants Will Be Dispatched. Okay, as chief operative of the villainous Kisaragi Corporation, Sentuin Rokugo receives orders to help the organization conquer the entire known universe. Tasked with infiltrating the Kingdom of Grace, a mission that could change the fate of the world, Rokugo mistakenly believes that his skills as a combatant are superb, fueling his arrogant attitude. To ensure the success of the mission, Alice Kisaragi, an exceptional android with a youthful appearance, named after the company itself, is assigned to be Rokugo's travel companion. Upon their arrival at the outskirts of the kingdom, Alice and Rokugo encounter Snow, the commander of the country's royal guard. Snow leads the pair to a broken legendary artifact, and Rokugo seizes the opportunity for a long-awaited promotion at his company and changes the recitation for the sacred ritual to an embarrassing phrase. We'll get to that. As punishment, the princess of the kingdom forces Rokugo to become an honorary knight, fulfilling part of his mission. Having infiltrated the kingdom's inner circle, Rokugo must now help his new employer fight against the Demon Lord's army, all while perpetuating evil deeds as a combatant of the Kisaragi Corporation. So, context. This original, this anime is based off of a light novel that was created by the same person who made probably one of my favorite anime, and throw a quarter in a jar because he also made Konosuba, and I was very excited about watching this show. I was like, maybe we'll get a more sci-fi related Konosuba. That's not what we got. We got one of the worst shows of the season, and it's not funny. It can't commit to what kind of set, like, is it sci-fi fantasy? Is it fantastical sci-fi? Or is it just fantasy with a few sci-fi elements to it? It can't really commit to that because we don't spend a whole lot of time within the sci-fi elements. And it's just not funny. Whatever energy and spirit that Konosuba's It's Always Sunny style comedy is not on display here. And I want to say it's because it's not the same director as the Konosuba series. But that's possibly not it, because I was like, well, it can't be just the director that made Konosuba work. Why isn't this one working? And it's like, the characters suck. It doesn't have that same energy or chemistry that the Konosuba characters have. And the jokes aren't like, I don't know. I'm about to say jokes aren't funny a third time. Mike, what did you think about this show?
Okay, so before I give my thoughts, did anyone else watch the dub?
No, I suffered enough the first time.
That's fair.
Sorry.
No, I understand. I rewatched the first episode in the dub, and I will say I like the dub more than the sub, but it still doesn't change much. I respect and love the voice actors, but I just think dubbed or sub, I'm not gonna like this show.
I wanted to make that clear. Just in case that colored my opinion. I still think the show sucks no matter what. Like, the dub only helps a little bit because, you know, these are still pretty talented voice actors who I bet know the material sucks, so they're just kind of doing what they can to add a little bit more levity to the material, but none of the jokes are funny. None of these characters are likable. Once in a while, I got a chuckle at something something that was just too off the rails. But we're still ways away from Koikimo, but like the tiebreaker between these two, which one I hate more? I think I hate Koikimo more, but this one's more incompetently made.
Yeah, no, it's. I think like what Konosuba had was that like all the characters were the worst. They were all like the tropes, like the typical characters you would see in like an isekai, flipped on their heads to be again. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but anime and fantasy and such. And the show constantly made sure you realize that these characters are dumb, unlikable, and a little chaotic and insane. Here, it's like they want me to root. Like the show wants me to root for these characters, but it also kind of doesn't. But it can't choose which ones to go with, and it doesn't help that like I don't find these characters all that great outside of Alice, and Alice pretty much saves whatever bad comedy this show offers.
Alice is the best. I think we can all kind of agree.
I don't think she needed to be a lolly girl, but it's amusing to see her carry around a large shotgun and be the smartest person in the room. Haley, what did you think about this show?
This was the worst show of this season.
You want to give us a few more seconds to make sure of that? No.
Yeah, I'll go watch episode 4 and slam my head into a desk repeatedly. Yeah, we'll talk about Koikimo, and I think Koikimo is less morally defensible, but Combatants fails at basically everything that I would expect from an entertaining television show. The first 5 minutes of this show were so bad that one of my notes was, I have no idea what's going on besides sexual harassment.
I'm sorry,
Accurate.
I'm laughing because it's like, yeah, it's that kind of bad.
It's really bad, and bad in ways that I normally don't notice bad anime being bad in. Like the editing in this show is banana pants bonkers crazy. Like you cut away from animation basically every 5 seconds for a different camera shot for most of the first 2 episodes. It's more overly edited than a K-pop video. It's spectacularly incompetent. Like, I don't even know what to say about this show. It feels like it was created by those Twitter accounts that go, I fed 1,000 hours of shitty anime adventure comedy into an AI, and then it gave me this. That's what this show feels like. And it looks like garbage. Well, it looks so bad. I didn't watch Cestus Roman Fighter, which probably looks worse, but this looks pretty bad.
For a pure 2D perspective, like just because, I mean, as pure as digital 2D can be, Combatants is one of the weaker looking shows of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's also the world building in this is basically, you saw something like this once in an anime, right? So we don't get a whole lot of explanation as to why this high school dropout is hanging out with girls from his high school who created a global fascism company to take over the world and are now sending him into other dimensions, which is apparently a thing they can do, but they're all still high school age, maybe? And they also create androids, and there's a science lolly who, thank God, is wearing pants. It's like the one saving grace of this show is that both Alice and Science Lolly are wearing pants. The evil points are supposed to be a part of this world building, and they're very inconsistently applied and are kind of generally used as punchlines for when Six gropes somebody.
Oh, God.
Like, his whole motivation is to basically succeed at evil shit so he can basically bed a bunch of hot women and grope them, but he gropes everyone anyway, so I don't really know what his goal is because he can clearly just do that. It's still not funny, but it all makes sense from I really hated this. I went into this actually being like excited for this and started this first because of the pedigree involved, and I've never seen Konosuba, but it's been talked up to me enough that I was like, okay, this seems like it's got a high level of pedigree behind it, and this makes me not want to watch Konosuba. This is bad. Like, a lot of my notes are just, oh my god, this is so bad. This is bad. I can't believe this just happened. That was not good. The editing is still atrocious. I read that a couple times. There are sequences of reused reversed animation in episode 2, which is always a good sign for how something is going to go. And yeah, it's just really, really bad.
Haley, I mean, sorry.
It's just cheap and bad and unfunny and really all over the place with the editing. Like, Bohemian Rhapsody levels of editing we're talking over here. Just
Yikes.
like, oh my god, you could probably sync the first 5 minutes of this show to like Bubble Pop and it would look like a K-pop music video. Like, the very rapid cuts. It's just, this was bad. But I never this again.
So you recommend it? No.
Highly, yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Teresa, what did you think? Teresa?
Well, no, do we look at Teresa again?
Let's see. I think this show could work in a lot of ways. Like there are almost a few jokes that work. Like the show, but the show keeps falling back on stuff. Like it keeps lampshading Six, or as like our lead character, as like being pathetic. It's like, oh, he's pathetic, and we're framing him as pathetic. But it doesn't have that like way of how Konosuba does it, and it's like Konosuba just has this like the right mindset. And I'm just wondering if the director just made Konosuba work, and it was just lucky that they got that one director and such.
It's very possible that lightning just it just struck like at just the right point for Konosuba that no other show, no matter who was involved, could have made the same thing happen.
I will also say part of the reason a lot of the jokes about the lead being a screaming, pathetic nonsense boy fall flat is because everyone in this show is a pathetic, screaming nonsense person.
Yeah, there's no balance to it.
There's no balance, and everyone's extremely paper thin. So I don't know what the characters in Konosuba are like. They could also be tropey, and it could just work for that show based on however it's written. The way this show is written, everyone basically has 2 character traits. And for all the women, one of their character traits is either flat chest or boob. So it doesn't give you a whole lot to work with when we're writing these characters to basically be, okay, well, that girl is horny and magic. Humor, go. It's like, no, we need something.
Oh, I hated how they treated her. That character, the one in the wheelchair. She's not bound to the wheelchair. At first I thought she was, but but when they were climbing up the demon tower, which is probably the one joke I thought was clever, instead of them like going to their deaths against the demon army, they just climb on the outside. And it's like, why didn't the knights think about this? I thought that was the one joke that worked. And then it's just like, but the demon girl gets 2 upskirt shot jokes, which are awful. And then she's like shamed for being horny. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like, what? Like, I don't know.
Like decisions like that make no sense.
Teresa, sorry, go.
In this series is introduced boob first.
Yeah.
Cross that low bar.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think about the show?
Yeah, I don't know. The perviness just came out of left field. I don't know why I'm ever surprised. But I was like, no need to go there. On the show, I was very confused about the world. I was like, are we on Earth? Where did they get transported to? I feel like I missed an episode. I actually checked to be like, okay, so they're in an evil empire and they're fighting, and the 3 women. I get all of that, but who's the boss and where are they going? What are they rolling the dice for? So a lot of the world building confused me, but once they got to the world, I was like, let me just roll with it. Who needs questions? They're on a new place. And then the boobs. And I was like, not for me. Definitely not for me.
I forgot her name now. The one with the the boobs.
Fake flare.
Yeah. She's just a mediocre Aqua from Konosuba. It's that same hoity-toity, dumb, and I mean real stupid a-hole character. But no, the Konosuba characters are way more distinct than this, and they almost do it with the Chimera girl. Like I was kind of like rooting for her and Alice, but nothing. This show's a mess. I'm really bummed about that. Maybe I just won't like the original source material if I'm not liking the anime. And I know some people are like, read the manga, you twits. And it's like, if I wanted to read the manga, I would have done that. I don't want to. I want to see the adaptation. So
Always so weird when that gets pulled out as a defense of something that doesn't work in the form it's presented in. Like, I'm not, and even if I was more into this, I don't think I would be inclined to seek out a different version of the thing I already hated.
yeah,
We ran into that a lot with Redo of Healer too, trying to explain all the plot gaps with the light novel and the manga, and we were just like, okay, yeah, but these things got to stand alone. And there's another series that has a huge problem with that we're going to talk about later. But these things got to stand on their own. And I think we know that I believe this stands beautifully on its own. It's remarkable contextual as it now. This just fucking sucks.
No, speaking of Redo of Healer, I saw that recent video that Ruben shared, and it's like, yikes, jeez. Okay,
let's remove all of these things from our brain.
Yeah, no, burn it down, burn the whole industry down, restart it, reboot it. Anyway, let's move on to Cestus, the Roman fighter, the one full CGI series. Well, mostly CGI series. It flops between CGI and 2D. In the year 54 AD, 15-year-old slave fighter Cestus desires one thing: an escape from his violent life. It is the wish Cestus' owner has promised to grant him, but only after he wins 100 fights. However, Cestus quickly comes to terms with the fact that, as a slave, his life is expendable. After the death of his friend, the possibility of freedom is the only thing keeping him going. With a burning ambition to attain it, Cestus embarks on a journey to earn himself back, even if it means fighting other slaves for the entertainment of the public. So Mike and I were the ones to watch this one. So this show was not good. I was kind of rooting for it because I watched the teaser and it had this really cool kind of Susumu Hirasawa kind of like tone to it. And like with the bagpipes and the chanting in the background. And it's like, I don't mind these like 3D action shows that keep popping up, like, or like the really macho action shows, because a lot of them are so macho that it's like, okay, they know how dumb they are kind of shows. Like I like Kengan Ashura, and I slowly grew to like Baki on Netflix. And I can't wait for that new show that's coming out soon, just because it's like, oh, that's going to be my dumb trash. I can't wait. But this one is just not good. First of all, yes, historical inaccuracies, who cares about them? But it kind of matters when they keep killing off the losers, when gladiatorial combat has been revealed, like shown that gladiators were never really killed, and if they were, it looked bad. So on top of that, you have a main character who's just like, meh, violence. And then that's, you don't want a whiny lead character for this kind of thing. Even though
we've seen enough whiny sad sacks this season.
Seriously. And the tone is all over the place. The CGI is a little better than most anime these days, but it's still pretty wonky jaw kind of thing. And the side characters don't matter. The villain characters are a little over the top in how goofy they are in terms of how they're portrayed. And the only character I liked is like the one character who almost kills our main character, not because it's like, oh, thank goodness he's killing the main character, but because he's the only one with an actual like fully realized drive to his life.
Are you talking about the son of the blonde-haired guy?
No, I'm talking about the silver-haired guy that you meet, like that you see in a flashback in the first episode, but then
right.
But then you meet him later. And he's probably the best character of the show. And I wish the show was about him instead of a obvious anime boy in Rome, which he stands. I'm sorry. Give it to Berserk. Everyone didn't look pure anime except for Griffith, but this main character looks so out of place. Some of these characters look really distracting compared to like some of the other characters, like the blonde legionnaire and his son. By the way, this guy, the Legionnaire guy, is like up there with one of the worst dads in anime because he's abusive as hell.
Yeah, that list just keeps on growing.
Yeah, it does. And then in terms of the action itself, it's fine. It looks fine in most points, but I just got really frustrated with this show, and it was like one of the last ones to check out during this season. So it was really upsetting that it got a later start. And I was like, I really wish this came out earlier. But Mike, what did you think?
Okay, so let me walk you through my experience with this series. Like you and I talked off air that this was going to be one of the bad ones, and stupid naive me says, "Oh, come on, it can't be that bad." I've seen X-Arm, I've seen some of the other garbage from last season. So I'm watching the first couple minutes of the first episode. I see some of the character designs. I'm like, oh god, whoa, this is it's not good, but it's still not terrible. Episodes 2 and 3 are like you know that scene from the SpongeBob episode where Mr. Plankton or Plankton is like kind of switching lives with Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
And the guy, like the angry customer's like, "You call this a Krabby Patty?"
Yeah, sir, do you think this is funny? In a surreal sort of way, yes. Well, like, do you think this is funny? Well, I don't know. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that's how I felt watching episodes 2 and 3, and watching the quality of the animation go from like a solid 6 down to like a 1 or a 2 at best. Like episode 1 seemed okay, a little clunky because this is like it's like that CG trying to imitate 2D animation. Episodes 2 and 3, it literally looks like the characters are just kind of like floating into space. Like all of the weight from the first episode has been removed. The action scenes look very stilted and wooden, and there's a lot of jank. There's a lot of jank in the movements. The fights look not good, which is a problem with an action anime when your action doesn't deliver.
Yeah, and I watched a few more episodes past the 3-episode mark, and the fight with the silver-haired guy is actually not that bad. But if you have to get to that point after 3 episodes, and it's also one of those shows that can't seem to decide on whether showing that it's like slavery's bad or they were actually pretty good. And granted, gladiators were actually well taken care of from what I remember reading. So because it's like the Adam Ruins Everything episode, where it's like, I want you to like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and don't get hit like an uninsured rental car. So it's that kind of thing. That's how they were taken care of. So let's just move on to Seven Knights Revolution, Hero Successor, an anime based off of a game that nobody can play unless you're in Japan. So, Joy. So Seven Knights Revolution is set in a world where eons ago, valiant heroes fought against the forces of destruction. While their deeds passed into legend, the power of these heroes was later inherited by successors who fought to protect the world. One day, Faria, a successor of the Seven Knights, saves an ordinary boy named Nemo from the forces of destruction. No, and Nemo's not a fish. During the ensuing battle, Nemo summons the power of a hero and becomes a successor as well. However, Nemo's hero is a stranger that is unknown to history. So an epic journey where the past and present collide begins. So this one is just like the most harmless of the anime I've seen this season. Like, I wasn't so mad at it, but I wasn't like enjoying it either. I was like, this is so bog standard. I can't believe they thought this was a good idea, especially for the fact that if you played this game, okay, like fine. You might want to watch this show, but if you haven't, it just looks like another bog standard fantasy anime. And it has that whole thing where it's like, it's partially fantasy, but it's getting to that point where like trains are able to be are in this world. So there's like a hierarchy of technology. It's kind of Final Fantasy in some regards, but not fully there. And I don't know what else I could say. It like the action's pretty decent. It's pretty okay. It was this is also one of those shows that had like a director who was also working on like 3 other shows, and Leiden Films was the main animation studio working on this show, and they were already working on Farewell, My Dear Kramer and Tokyo Revengers, and you can all tell where the resources went with Tokyo Revengers and whatnot.
Naturally.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. It's the characters are fine. There's not much else to say for me. Mike, what did you think?
I liked it. The story is kind of generic fantasy that we've all seen, a billion times. But I think I like the characters just enough to be invested, and some of these fight sequences actually were pretty cool. I don't know if I'm actually going to continue this, but episode 3 does it does take the series in a somewhat interesting direction that I'm curious to check it out, but it's not like a number one priority or anything.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the ones where we can all talk about them. So, pop quiz. What does Burning Kabaddi, Seven Nights, and our next anime, The World Ends With You, the animation, have in common? They all have the same freaking director. So
bad pacing.
yeah, and well, that too. So, based off of the cult favorite video game, one day in the bustling city of Shibuya, a boy named Neku Sakuraba finds himself holding 2 black pens that enable him to read the minds of people around him. However, these pens also give him the ability to see the noise, hostile creatures capable of erasing people from existence. After discovering that he is trapped within the confines of the city, Neku receives a message regarding a mission that will nevertheless erase him should he fail. While trying to fend off a noise attack, Neku meets a girl named Shiki Misaki, who asks him to form a partnership pact with her to fight against the monsters. Shiki explains that she and Neku have become players, participating in the Reapers game, an event spanning over 7 days, each featuring a different mission. As Neku and Shiki both strive to survive each day that passes, they begin to meet other players and Reapers alike, battle stronger noise, and learn the truth behind the mystery that this game is shrouded in. Boy, can you tell this is a video game adaptation. It's basically all the cutscenes, animated, and stitched together with pretty decent action sequences that would have been filled in with gameplay. I think my favorite aspect is the visual art style. They translated the video game's like iconic artwork pretty well. And the CGI is actually not that bad. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's not that bad. And I think they got like the same the same actors back from the game. I think that like for the Japanese dub, it would be kind of cool if they did for the English dub as well. And I liked some of the characters. Like I liked what's his name? The guy with the skull cap. Daisuke Kinojo Bito. I think he and I think their names were Rhythm and Beat. Which they were my favorite characters, and when episode 3 happens, I got really mad because I was like, no. Teresa, what did you think about the show?
I figured it out that it was a video game, but I didn't know that going in. And I was very much like, the world, what is the world? Is this actually a video game? And they're gonna show someone playing it in the first episode. And then I was like, oh no, it's real. So once I figured that out, I definitely thought it got better over time. I was very skeptical the first episode. By the episode 3, definitely meeting Rhythm and Beat, those were kind of my favorite characters. So I was a little sad. But once you get kind of the twist, I'm more interested in the Reapers, to be honest. I want to know what's up with them. But the monsters of the episode are fun. I like that kind of animation of those. It took me a minute to get used to it, but I can tell this is coming from a fandom I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it's a very cult favorite game. It was on the DS, and then it got a port to the Switch and iOS. And I will say, like, as bad as the pacing is, because it's a lot of jargon and world building to throw at you in 3 episodes, I did like the 3rd episode the most because I was able to like finally breathe a little. And then the twist happens, and I was like, oh man, I don't really care for this show, but I might have to watch what happens next. I kind of hated that because I was like, God dang it, I don't need more shows on my plate. Haley, what did you think?
So this show went way too fast for me. It's got a real pacing problem. Your whole summary that you gave at the beginning of this happens in like 3 minutes. And there really isn't a whole lot of time to breathe until episode 3. I agree with that. And I think it worked out okay for you guys based on what I'm hearing. I don't think the emotional beats of episode 3 landed very well for me because I really didn't have a sense for these characters by that point and wasn't super invested in them. I agree that Rhyme and Beat are the best characters, but when their eventual focal point in episode 3 happens, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Not like in a bad. That sounds so dismissive of them as characters, but I was just like, I kind of wanted more understanding before we got to this point.
No, you were like Willy Wonka when any of the kids went off to screw up and suffer the consequences. No, wait, stop, come back. No.
Well, yeah, except I did want them to come back. So I'm like, I don't know anything about you. Get over here. Episode 2, I think, was the worst in that regard because it sells itself as an episode where we find out about Shiki. And Shiki is the most developed character.
Right.
But somehow in the middle of episode 2, we learn that the main character has atoned for all of his sins and is opening up, even though he's not doing either of those things. And I'm like, this is absolutely based on a video game that was probably 150 hours long or 100 hours long. I'm imagining like a Persona length game, and they are squashing it down to get it all into 13 episodes. And it really just, there's a lot in this that I feel like would be great if it was a multi-season thing, if it had time to breathe. I love the art style. It took me a little bit to get used to the way fights are animated. At first I was like, this doesn't seem all that dynamic, but it really grew on me. I like the designs of all the characters. I like the Reapers. It's kind of funny that literally every idol-esque character in the show is evil. It's like, oh, well, that's a choice, but I kind of want to see that spool out. I want to see more. I want to know more about 777 and this boneheaded water model and floofy skirt girl and glasses dude and all of the Reapers. I really love the design of Hisashigawa, and I was actually a little more upset that he ended up being defeated so quickly. More upset than I was over the thing with Rhyme and Beat, because I was like, I want to know more about this guy, and he is gone. So, but yeah, this is a lot of. I can see where this feels like if someone wanted to adapt a Yakuza game and cut out all of the side quests and all the side stories and smashed it into like a 1-season TV show. Like that's the vibe I get from this.
We're like, God, I can't imagine that being good at all. I hope that never happens.
Same, but from this I can see the flickers of why people love this game, and I may check out the game from it because I assume it is more spaced out, even, easier to pick up and to more open world. You can kind of do more things. As an anime, I don't think it's super compelling, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mike, what did you think?
Okay, so I'm learning that the game came out, the first game, there's a sequel coming out like this summer, but the first game came out way back in 2007. And I'm thinking if this anime were to come out like over a decade ago, it would have been longer. There would have been more time to breathe. So the pacing wouldn't feel as if you were watching 5 episodes on like triple speed. But on the whole, I did enjoy like the art style, the music. Rhyme and Beat are the best characters. I can basically echo a lot of what you guys said. If I had more time to like kind of settle into this world and really get like a lay of the land, I could probably get into it a little bit more. And yeah, the third episode, the third episode does go in a direction where I want to see what happens next, and maybe this one I will see through to the end. But overall, this is kind of like more like it's like the top of the middle. as far as the action genre goes.
Yeah, no, I will say one thing that, and it's like, this isn't the show itself. It's just this one little detail that I love is the fact that there's a place called Mexico Hot Dog in the show.
Oh my god!
And I was just like, I kind of want to go there.
Mexican hot dog sounds awesome.
I wonder if it's like a Sonoran hot dog, because if that's what it's like, then I'm like, heck yeah, man.
Or like an elote
That's what I
style hot
assumed.
dog.
But I'm in LA
Yeah.
where we have everywhere. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's what they're having.
Yeah, no, it was,
That's a wreck for where to go for that, Teresa. That sounds great.
yeah, no, I want to go. I know. Let's just talk about hot dogs more than some of these. I'd rather do it than talk about some of these other shows. But luckily we're getting to the best of the action adventure shows.
Can I say one more quick thing about the show that I forgot to say?
Go ahead.
This opening theme is awful.
Yeah.
Like sometimes what it was reminding me of is sometimes in K-pop they'll cast one of their band members as a rapper because they like his look or his vibe, but he can't really rap. And that was kind of what this song sounded like.
Oh no.
Like, I'm not going to say names because you don't need that debate underneath your comments, but it's got that it's stilted. It's quite stilted.
Yeah, no, it was too chaotic for me. I absolutely did not like it. But let's move on to one of the original anime of the season, Mars Red. And the year, no, it's not original. It's based off of a manga. My bad. We'll cut that part out. In the year 1923, a vampire crisis takes Tokyo by storm, provoked by the illegal trade of askra, an artificial blood source. The population of vampires begins to rapidly increase within the city. Under orders of the Lieutenant General Sonosuke Nakajima, the Special Forces Unit 16 gathers vampires with the military to create a new undercover vampire hunting unit known as Code Zero. Why isn't the show called that? Anyway. Leading the unit is Colonel Yoshinobu Maeda, responsible for locating the source of the Askra trade as well as capturing and killing vampires. He is pressured into producing fruitful results amidst the growing criticism that threatens to decommission the unit. To make matters worse, the vampires within the unit are struggling to grasp their newfound powers and identities, now that they are no longer human. With the world at odds against them, the members of Code Zero must find a way to curb the crisis or otherwise fall victim to their own demonic natures. This was one of the first anime shown, and it got like an advanced release on Funimation, and it's one of the only two anime this season that so far has a dub. But this one was like right off the bat a dub. And I assume that's because of the vampire they encountered in the first episode. But I will say, like, at first I didn't really know what to think. I thought, like, yeah, this is pretty solid, all right. But then when you go into episode 2 and 3 and you find out the show's a little more interested about world building and then the turmoil and politics of like this Code Zero and the vampires and the people coming to terms with being a vampire, I really enjoyed it. And I think a lot of that is because, one, they're all basically adults. So there's no like, oh, woe is me, teenage vampire angst. And well, except for the scientist guy, he seems pretty like, yeah, I'm a vampire. You take what life gives you, you know? And I have to say, I really enjoyed the third episode when one of the Code Zero characters comes to term with like seeing his wife, and it was just really nice. Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, so I also watched the dub for this one, and that's honestly my one criticism with the show. Some of the actors do a really good job. Sean Schemmel, the voice of Goku, voices the main character Yoshinobu Maeda, and he does a really convincing Chris Sabat impression. I thought it was Chris Sabat at first when I listened to it, but no, it's the voice of Goku, and it's kind of jarring at first. Some of the other some of the other voice actors, they sound like they're recording in like their bedroom, and it doesn't sound as clean as you know, if you're recording in the actual studio. But other than like technical issues with the dub, I think the series as a whole is just fascinating. I love the world that we're set in. Everything surrounding like these vampires and the artificial blood is all very compelling. And I think my favorite episode might be episode 3, because when that one guy is reuniting with his wife, that got to me. That was that was a nice touching scene in a series that has a lot more intrigue to it.
Yeah, no, this reminds me of a better version of that Blood Plus series, or that franchise, like that started from Blood the Last Vampire, and then Adult Swim played Blood Plus, and then there was that infamously violent Blood C, I think it was called. And I will say, I understand if someone has an issue with Takeuchi, the scientist guy, the one with the pink hair, because he does stand out among everyone else, just his mannerisms and how he talks. He actually acts more like that defraught, the young vampire with the blonde hair. But let's see. But Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, it was definitely giving me Blood Plus vibes. I mean, it is still vampires, so it's very easy connection. But I thought it was really beautiful, and the character is kind of Maeda is tortured, so I'm especially the very first episode, that entire arc of just his character, just he's cold and abrasive, but the job has made him so. And you can see that how he interacts with the first character, with Salome. And I was just really brought in on just, I want to know where this character is going, and then the world can build up around it, which I thought is really great in terms of pacing. I definitely want to finish this season. This is probably one of my favorites. Easy to do since I do love vampire mythology. But definitely I like the animation. I thought the dub was pretty good. I also watched the dub. And I'm very curious. It was actually giving me also vibes of Sirius the Jaeger, in terms of there's this military, and they're organized to fight something, and they have really good intentions, and seeing where that goes when you're trying to tame a beast and point them in a direction. And I really like that show, so I'm all game to watch more.
Awesome. Haley, what did you think?
So I think I'm a little more muted on this one than everyone else. This feels very 2000s anime. I think I watched the dub as well, and I think I don't know what it is about this show that's making me feel like this is like the kind of thing that would have been huge in the time when you had to go to Best Buy and buy all your DVDs with 3 anime episodes each on them. Like, it's got that kind of feel, the all kind of neutral team, and then, pink-haired scientist guy kind of standing out. Like, it's got a lot of elements of older shows, and I think it's a little hit or miss for that. I really loved the first episode, though. So that may just be that might be coloring how I feel about the progression kind of away from that elegiac style, and the focus on the middle-aged commander. I think he's great, and Sean Schemmel. That's a name. That's hard. But he does a really great job with that character, and the woman who plays the Salome is really great too. When we start getting into episodes 2 and 3, where we get into the actual team and what they're doing for the government, kind of loses me a bit, just because I did really like that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
The dub is both good and bad. I think, did you guys ever watch Panty Pony Dash back in the day?
No.
The title sounds familiar, but I don't think I ever actually saw it.
It was like kind of a weirdly meta version of Azumangandaya, but there was a girl who was a magical character, and she was Magical Girl Behoy Me, and that's exactly what she sounded like, and that's what the reporter chick sounds like, and she drove me nuts. Like, this is a character type I like, but her
I know who you're talking about.
so
Yeah.
annoying. It's like she's trying to do like a His Girl Friday plucky comic relief voice by way of
Yes.
Barney the dinosaur.
That's Caitlin Glass, by the way, who voices her.
And she normally does a great job with stuff. This just is not a pick for
She's
her.
Mina Ashido in My Hero Academia.
And it works for Mina. It does not work for this character. I feel bad for her. I also I think the guy who plays the pink-haired scientist is present Mike too, and there's something weird going on with his performance as well. But he's less objectionable to me. That character is just weird to me. But the dub has huge cliffs and valleys in between roles as to who is doing really well and who isn't. I did really like the emotional reunion in episode 3. I liked that we focused on that gentleman reuniting with his wife. I like the general focus on characters who aren't just teenagers or in their 20s in this show. It's a pretty wide tapestry of people that we cover in the show, and I do appreciate that. I liked even the vampires of the week. I liked the murder couple. That was pretty fascinating. Villain.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately just not really my thing. I think if it had stayed like episode 1, where everything was very theatrical, elegiac, kind of tragic, monster of the day type stories, I'd be into it more. But that's not what this wants to do, and that's cool. I think people are really gonna like this. It's definitely good. It's just not really what I was hoping it would turn into.
Understandable. By the way, the actor you're thinking of is Christopher Guerrero. He's the one who voices Takeuchi, the pink-haired scientist.
Mm-hmm.
He's not present Mike, but he is Shadow from Skate the Infinity, the one with the
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And if you watch Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle, he plays the tire genie, but he is in My Hero Academia. He's the dog, head of the dog-headed person who's the head of the police force. And
oh man,
I think that's him. And then he's also one of the expendable 8 of the Yakuza team. He's the one who can drain the energy and whatnot.
You did a really good present Mike imitation in this show. Like a
yeah,
real one.
like I wasn't as like I thought I would. Like I agree. I totally forgot the one who's just like, oh by golly shucks, like I got a real New Yorker accent.
I'm like,
it's like
no, you don't. Stop doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like most times with dubs, my issue is not with the performances. Like sometimes it's like they just have to carry certain stuff. But yeah, no. This was a really good one for me. But
one more thing I have to bring up. The ending theme by Hyde is awesome.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's also another really stunning looking show. It's like, man, this one got a lot of resources put into it. I wonder if the manga is really popular or if it was just good planning and what have you and such.
Oh yeah, this show looks great. I also just read a note that I was kind of amused that the Navy is like the ultimate villain of this Japanese empire defense. Every time they're like, oh, what if the resources go to the Navy? I'm like, is something going on in the ocean right now?
Yeah, did Godzilla pop up or something? No.
Is this right before like some big sea battle?
Yeah. So let's move on to our last action show this season, and this is one of the original anime also. Joran, the Princess of Snow and Blood. In 1931, the Tokugawa shogunate remains in power, marking the 64th year of the Meiji era. Holding a monopoly over the newly discovered Dragon Vein, the government is leading Japan towards an advanced Edo period. During this time, an elite force of executioners called Nue is tasked with defending the shogunate from a rebel institution known as the Kuchinawa. As the owner of the Suyu Kasa bookshop, Sawa Yukimura runs the store's day-to-day business inconspicuously, but behind the scenes, she seeks vengeance against the man who slaughtered her tribe and family. With a special ability to transform granted by her blue blood, Sawa joins Nue after being promised information regarding the target of her revenge, Janome, the leader of the Kuchinawa. This was also one of the first anime shown this season, and oh man, did I just fall in love with this. At first, I was thinking like, oh, is this going to be like an anime version of the... Oh man, I forgot what those samurai films are called, but it's like Lady Snowblood or something like that.
Yeah, Lady Snowblood.
And then it turned into a little bit of Blood Plus, but I still like this more than Blood Plus. And there was this really cool, well, like outside of a few tiny moments, the animation is really good, and I love like the change when she uses her powers. And it uses this like rougher sketch style that you'd see in like the Tales of Princess Kaguya. And it's got some really stellar action beats and a really interesting cast of characters and weaponry and a really solid world that they inhabit with some pretty solid drama as well. Mike, what did you think about this show?
I think this is one of the best shows that we've seen all season. Like the fact that it's original, and I think it's only 8 episodes too, means it'll be one of the easiest anime to binge. And it's also just one of the best looking. It can get pretty violent, but the violence is presented in such an elegant fashion. I love the way the animation like transitions from a smoother style, when it's just characters talking, to when she uses her powers, the background kind of goes and turns black. Like the animation gets more, like you said, sketchy, and very stylized, and just things like that are cool. And even just like the dynamic between Sawa and the girl whose parents she murdered. They have an arrangement to live with each other. Just so much about this series is just wonderful. I love the world building. I love the organization that she's kind of working for or working against. There's a lot of intrigue, and I'm really curious to see where the end of the story goes.
Yeah, and I like the little story beats, because at first, like when you find out that Sawa murdered that little girl's parents, it's like, okay, what happened here? And then they show a few clips with very little dialogue, and it's like, oh man, dark. And Haley, what did you think?
Yeah, this was also one of my favorites of this season for sure. I thought the first episode was a little rocky in terms of nailing. Geez, sorry.
No worries.
Sorry. In terms of nailing down the how to balance the different aesthetics they were using for the animation, but that clears up after episode 1, and the show looks beautiful. It's funny that Mike said the intrigue, because I actually have a note in all caps that's just the intrigue at the end of it too, because I expected, based on the title, this to be more of kind of like a grindhouse sort of film based,
Yeah.
The Lady Snowbloods series and those kinds of samurai films. They were all pretty violent and revenge centered and whatnot. And this is too, but it's definitely taking more of a noir tack to the proceedings. And there's definitely more at play here than just Joran's intense, or not Joran. Why did I just blank on her name?
Sawa?
Yeah, Sawa. Sawa's quest to get revenge for the deaths of her family. I really love the character of Suki, who is a piece of shit, but like really relatable piece of shit. Like, I love you, you little shithead. Like, half of my notes are just like, oh my god, Suki. One of mine is Suki is a goddamn lunatic, and I don't remember what that's in reference to. I think it's when he shot the guy and then put him into the coffin to then transport him elsewhere. That whole sequence was wild. I also love blonde murder girl who looks like she came from Galaxy Express 999.
Yeah.
I didn't write a lot of names.
Her weapon, like the crossbow umbrella, was great.
I love her. I really like all of this show. You know, it's definitely, it has a high camp factor. It has a high it has there's the fear in the back of my head that they didn't think the plot through and this is just gonna all collapse around like episode 7 or 8 or so. But this is such a ride. I think the world building is really well done on this. The side characters who come in as part of this conspiracy are really wonderful. It gets stronger as it goes on. Like I wrote a note in episode 2 I had was this is way more solid than episode 1.
Right.
The only super criticism I have, and this isn't even really of the show, is that the subs can get really finicky for this. Like episode 3s were really messed up for me for a decent amount of that runtime. I had to watch the episode twice because they kept duplicating on top of each other. And I don't know. I had literally every problem known to man with every single streaming service doing this. So I don't know if that's a consistent problem or if it was just a glitch that went away for people. But I'd mention it because it could pop up for you.
One day it will happen to you. No.
I thought you were gonna say one day I'll be able to get through a show without something exploding, and I'm like, yeah, one day.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But, yeah, go watch Joran and my shitty favorite character of the entire season.
I agree.
Be the lunatic who's giving poison to an 8-year-old so she can take out. Literally, like head in my hands, like this guy is nuts, and I kind of love it. Like I'm like, what's his end game? Because he doesn't seem to have one. He's just kind of like, let's see what this does.
His end game is anarchy.
Yeah.
Exactly. His end game is just like, if I cause all the chaos, it'll be great, right? I'm just like, okay, sure, bro.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very interesting. I watched a few more of the episodes today, and the intrigue gets better. So it gets really intense at points. So definitely be looking forward to that. So I said this was the last of the action adventure shows, but it's not, because we have the gut-wrenching anime To Your Eternity. It, a mysterious immortal being, is sent to the earth with no emotions nor identity. However, it is able to take the shape of those around it that have a strong impetus. At first, it's a sphere. Then it imitates the form of a rock. As the temperature drops and snow falls atop the moss, it inherits the moss. When an injured lone wolf comes limping by and lays down to die, it takes on the form of the animal. Finally, it gains consciousness and begins to traverse the empty tundra until it meets a boy. I'm going to keep it until that description until we dive into a little bit of it more. But this has probably the best first episode impression of any anime this season.
Absolutely.
It is its own little short film, and there's already like 12 more episodes to watch. No, 19. It's going to be a 20 episode series.
Oh, wow.
And I was hooked about like this thing's interaction with the boy, and then by the end of it, when you realize something bad's about to happen, spoilers alert, the journey this boy takes to find his people ends with him not being able to go far and dies. The wolf lays next to the boy, takes the form of the boy, and keeps his journey going. And it's like, my mind was blown. I was in my bed watching this on my laptop, and I was like, oh my goodness. It hit me way harder than I think most anime this season. And it was just like, oh, there's the rest of the show to go through. All right. Let's do it. And what's interesting is it's not really an action show. It's more of a adventure experience kind of show as you follow this individual and his encounters to see what molds it and like the character's reactions to whatever this thing is. Mike, what did you think of this show?
I agree that episode 1 is like just probably one of the best first episodes I've seen all season, and it's like it's sort of like the beginning of the heartbreak. Apparently, after episode 3, more shit hits the fan, but but just like seeing that boy kind of withering away it just kind of broke my heart. Like you see his fingers like turning red, getting all frostbite, and then he's like trudging through kind of harsh terrain. Then he gets injured, and not so good for the boy. And then in episodes 2 and 3, we meet probably the most adorably annoying or annoyingly adorable like protagonist, March, I believe her name is.
Yeah.
Who also has her own little like her arc is it's kind of traumatic, that she is being sent to like she's being sacrificed to they don't really make it clear who they're sacrificing to, just that it has to be one of the young. So she runs into the orb, which is just the boy who still kind of acts like a wolf, and their relationship was fun to watch. I think episodes 2 and 3 were sort of the calm before the storm until the end of episode 3 when a giant bear comes to attack.
Yeah, no, I've seen all the episodes released so far, and I wish I could talk about what happens, because it's probably one of the most consistently great shows of the season so far, and I wish I could say more, and I just can't, and I hate that, because I want y'all to see what happens. And this show had a lot of resources put into it, because it's a gorgeous looking show. The transformation sequences are so fluid, and they even threw down the money to get Utada Hikaru to do the theme song.
Nice.
And of course, everyone would know her as the singer who did the Kingdom Hearts songs. Yeah, no. And Haley, what did you think about this show?
So this was a ride. It was an emotional roller coaster. Also, easiest way to make me moved is to throw an Utada song on anything. So they nailed that. They got that, and it's a good OP. It's a good song. It's right up there with the Tokyo Revengers and the Odd Taxi one.
Right.
This show is really wonderful. Honestly, it's hard for me to add anything really, because like I said, the first episode is basically its own short film, and it's heartbreaking, and I cried a little bit.
I did too.
Just watching this kid die was so painful, because I really liked him. And we go into episode 2 and 3, and it's a little less impactful, the story so far to me. I really love March, the little girl. She's so obnoxious. It makes me so happy. She's obnoxious in like an actual real kid way.
Right.
Very fun to follow. But the Naruto villain that's basically bringing her to be sacrificed is a little much.
She did feel like a Naruto villain. Like anytime her faceless henchmen were on screen, it felt like I was watching Naruto.
Yeah, and it was jarring compared to welcome to our little nature clan with all the huts and we make little dolls and we just dress in yukata. And then we've got fucking Anko with her off-brand Akatsuki showing up to sacrifice children to bears. I was just like, hopefully the narrative is able to tie that up in a way that's not weird, because I love March bonding with the wolf man. I love her relationship with the older sister girl, and I love the older sister girl just as a character. She's really well done. And the whole bear attack sequence was really impressive and very violent. we're coming off of Joran and Tokyo Revengers, and like these are violent shows, but like the only one that really made me like wince and a little queasy was this. Like when the wolf is trying to like rip off this bear's nose, I'm like, oh my god, I have to like turn away a little bit.
Right.
But the elements of the show remind me of Wolf's Rain, which to me can only be a good thing.
Oh, that's
I had Wolf's Rain on the brain a lot watching the first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was going to maintain that since he turned into a human, but with the shifting, I'm like, I feel that, and if it kind of continues on that path of these of that kind of deep emotional drama, the show is going to be really, really great. The ending theme even kind of sounds like Gravity from that series, the ending theme from that series. But yeah, the Naruto villain seems like a misstep to me, and I'm not really sure how much she's going to play into things. So I'm kind of like, with this story arc, I'm like, hopefully this reaches the same highs as that first episode, and that's and the first episode is the template they base everything off of, as opposed to the kind of wackier elements of episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's why I considered these two like the calm before the storm, because I feel like what we're getting later will be more harrowing.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to hear y'all talk and I'm just like, oh, I know what happens. It's so tough. I want to say what happens but y'all will have to find out. So
for some reason, the show I picked to move forward on beyond everyone else was Nagatoro, so I can't help.
No, I understand, but we'll get to that soon because that'll be the last show we talk about. But while I wish we could talk about Don't Toy With Me, Nagatoro-kun or San, there are like 5 different titles for this show, and we have to get through the worst show of the season for me, and it's Koi Kimo. It's too ridiculous to call this love. It's also ridiculous of how bad this show is. Anyway, people fall in love in the most mysterious of ways. This statement seems to be especially true for the affluent genius playboy Ryo Amakusa. When he nearly falls off the stairs one rainy morning, a girl named Ichika Arima saves him. As if by fate, Ryo encounters Ichika again later that night. She happens to be the best friend of his little sister Ryo. Wanting to, quote, thank her, Ryo attempts to woo Ichika by employing his usual flirtatious tactics, only to be immediately shot down. His target creeped out by his behavior. Yes. Rather than being discouraged, Ryo instead becomes more enthralled by her, and he begins to do everything he can to steal Ichika's heart, despite receiving disgusted reactions each time. However, as time passes by, will Ichiga remain repulsed by Ryu's creepy yet dedicated advances? Spoiler alert, she better do so. This show sucks. It's not because it's an age gap romance. Age gap romance discussions are weighted. Like there's a lot of nuance to talk about and what have you. But man, do these characters suck. These are the worst characters of the show, and I just couldn't stand it. It was the first show I watched, and I was so glad that it was the first show I watched, so I could get it out of the way first. Just a creepy, creepy man who cannot understand when no means no. A girl who is pretty much getting gaslit into falling for him by everyone around her, and the worst sister in anime history. F this show. F it so hard. Mike, what did you think?
So I'm bringing up the Mr. Plankton meme again because it took about 6 minutes, which is when they started to play the opening theme. Yeah, it took 6 minutes before everything to fall apart, and even before that, the main love interest, I use that term loosely, is kind of an asshole. It seems like he's walking out on whoever he was sleeping with. Probably didn't even remember her name. So that kind of informs how much we really don't want to root for him. But just usually when it comes to bad anime, there's at least one redeeming quality other than the animation and like the music is decent. It's competent.
Oh, I think this show looks awful.
But there's not a single character that I like. Even the otaku, like the deadpan otaku, is he's decent, but only in comparison to how awful Rio is. The sister sucks, and she is a terrible enabler who even says, "Yeah, my brother's a scumball, but he's not that bad." What the hell is not bad about a scumball?
She's like, yeah, he's a terrible person, but come on, he's good looking.
Give him a shot.
And it's like, I would have been fine with this being an age gap romance because anime has a bunch of like quote unquote taboo relationship dynamics a lot of the times. There's incest and so many other bad ones that I'm not even going to bring up, or notorious endings that ruin otherwise great shows. You know which one you are, anime. If she actually liked any of this, and she does not, she is constantly creeped out by this guy, and this guy can't get the answer that no means no. And then when it's like when he's rightfully called out for his playa status of like being able to get women because he has a high paying job and he's good looking and he's called out for it, she's like, no, he's not that bad of a guy. And it's like, did you just not remember what happened to you 5 minutes ago? Like, did you get hit on the head? Did you just not? Do you have short-term memory? Are you Dory from Finding Nemo? Oh, okay, Haley, what did you think?
So, if you wished Family Guy was an awkward rom-com centered on Quagmire, this is the show for you.
Oh God.
Yeah, nobody else should really watch this show. Like, y'all kind of hit the nail on the head, but just like, I don't think we can overemphasize how terrible Rio is. He is pursuing a 17-year-old who is absolutely uninterested in him and has made that clear many times. His sister is a sociopath. But he also just treats women terribly in general. Like, he's not treating his romantic lead well. She said no about 45 times to him, and he's still going at it. And Mike brought up the opening sequence where he basically just like leaves a chick in his apartment and doesn't know her name. But in episode 1, a lady comes up to him while he's with Ichika.
Yeah.
And is telling Ichika, this guy is bad news. He takes women and throws them aside, and also you look really young. Like this is Sketch City, girl. You need to get out. An extremely reasonable reaction to seeing, like, this woman is speaking for all of us. She is the hero of this series, and Rio fucking assaults her, like shoves a napkin in her face, destroys her makeup, and pushes her down. Like he should be in jail, for a variety of reasons, but that particularly, like, it's crazy how many things the narrative has Rio do that are just beyond the pale in many ways, but we're still supposed to root for him to get with this 17-year-old that wants nothing to do with him. Everyone, aside from the queen lady who really tried to stop this show in episode 1, everyone in this show is awful. I guess they're well developed. I mean, if you enjoy just wanting to claw your skin off every time you watch a show, like, this maybe is for you. I don't know who the audience for this is. I'm going to be honest. Because
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because if you want something that is in some level condemning this kind of behavior, Higehiro came out this season. I'm not comfortable with this age gap at all. It's a 17-year-old and an almost 30-year-old. That's
same.
It's ick. But if that's your thing, there are many classic series with similar age gaps in their relationships. Like Cardcaptor Sakura is right there for you. If you just want a nice rom-com, like, my God, Fruits Basket is going right now. There's so many other things you can turn to if you want elements of this without this.
Or watch Horimiya from last season. That's an
there's Horimiya. There's one in particular I'm trying to think of, and I'm having a hard time with it, remembering it. And it's a similar premise to Horimiya. Yeah. But Nisekoi exists. Cardcaptor Sakura exists. Sailor Moon exists. This made a Sailor Moon reference, and it made me so pissed off.
It's like, you don't earn that reference.
Yeah, Rio compared himself to Tuxedo Mask, and I'm like, bitch,
Oh no, absolutely not. No.
you are literally the hole where all chaos came from, that birthed Sailor Galaxia. Miss me with this Tuxedo Mask shit.
Maybe he thinks he's the meme of like, well, I'm out of here, but you didn't do anything.
Yeah, I also want to point out that, like, in an industry with so many terrible little sisters, like just overly sexual little sisters, annoying little sisters, useless little sisters, this little sister stands out by virtue of just being the most heinous person in a show of just completely heinous people. Like, can you like, the main takeaway is that poor Ichika needs so many new friends. She needs to move. She needs a new support system.
Fake her death, move to somewhere else, and
yeah,
no.
literally, pull a Koguma, live by yourself, be as boring as possible, get a bike, get out of this. Like, the one way this show could work is if it was a horror series. And
know what this show reminds me of? It reminds me of that movie that Ellen DeGeneres was in. I think it was called like Mr. Man, like Yes Man or something like that. With Bill Pullman.
Mr.
And it's
Wrong?
so what?
Mr. Wrong?
Yeah, Mr. Wrong. I think that's the one. Yes, that's what it's called. Let's see. Let me just make sure. Yes, that's it.
Yep.
And it's like it's like, this is not. It has the same issue with that movie where it's just like, oh, it's quirky and wacky, and it's like, this is horrifying. This is not okay. And then the guy's best friend is like, whoa, man, you bagged a high schooler. That's great. And it's like, you must be on like a watch list, dude. So like,
that upset me so much because he looked like hipster John Oliver, and I was like, I know you're gonna suck. Don't suck. And then he said that, and I was just like, I want to throttle you
now. Let's move on. I'm tired of this show. Just be gone. Because we got to talk about the other insane rom-com before we get to the best one. And who thought the best one would be the last one. But let's talk about Osamake, rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose.
This was a trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Suihara Maru is childhood best friends with one of Hozumino High School's most popular girls, Kuroha Shida. Cute, outgoing, and affectionate, Kurohara is the perfect older sister type. I don't like how they describe that. She has boys constantly begging at her feet to be with her, yet when she confesses to Suihara one day, he immediately rejects her. He just can't think of her in that way. Besides, he already has his sights set on his first love, school idol and renowned author, a teenage author. Okay. Shiro Kusa Kachi. Suihara believes that he has a chance with Kachi after one fateful meeting. Dude, just go on a second or third date first. Anyway, but soon he finds out that Kachi has a boyfriend. With his dreams now shattered, Suihara agonizes over what could have been. That is until Kuroha approaches him with a proposal. Let's get revenge. Okay, so context. When I was watching this show, and I was constantly saying in the chat, like, oh gosh, this sounds like a terrible revenge incel fantasy. It's like, oh, this girl's I like didn't say yes to my proposal, so she deserves the worst. And I was like, oh god, I am not for this. No, please, no. But then it gets like, it stops being about the revenge for the second episode, and then it's like, oh man, you get to learn about some of the characters. All right. And then the third episode's like, so where's the revenge? What's the revenge happening? And then so many little story beats get dropped on you, twists happen, and I have no idea what kind of show this is trying to be. It's creepy, it's kind of funny, it's kind of heartwarming at places. It's also pretty terrible. The rom-com this genre this season suffered. And I just have no idea how I feel about this show. It's like I admire it for how just bonkers it is, but I have no desire to say this is anywhere near good. Haley, what did you think?
I think the note that describes my feelings about the show the best is, why does this show make no earthly sense? It's kind of It moves as quick as The World Ends With You. It's also just as befuddling to me. It's kind of weird that everyone in this show is famous. Like the fact when that kept piling, like when the first girl was like, she's the class queen, and based on the title, I was like, okay, this is satirical. It's based on these kinds of shows where, you know, there's a class idol and she's the best at everything, and they just ramped it up really hard for the comedy. I'm like, okay, I can live with famous idol slash swimsuit model slash queen of the school.
Oh God.
Like, you know, whatever. But then we find, then the childhood friend comes in, and she's not super famous. She's not famous as far as I'm aware. But then we find out that our lead was a former like protege child actor. And I was like, okay, is this an arts school? Did I miss that narration? And I went back and no, they never said it was an arts school or anything. And then we find out that the school queen's boyfriend is a very prominent current actor. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on in this show? Like, it's weird. If the summary didn't clue you into how kind of weird this show is very weird. I have to mention that this is the only show where a girl is introduced boob first, and it is the childhood friend. There it is.
And she's like a little sister type character, and it's like
a little sister type, and leans into it, like is calling herself sister to the male lead to get him horny. It's uncomfortable. And I think the boyfriend is in love with the male lead, like the Abe, the actor. I think he's in love with the male lead. But no one.
It at least feels that way. The way his dialogue is delivered.
Yeah, but every time he was just like, he inspired me to act, and like that's like the phrasing, even in conversations where that would not make sense as a response. So I was like, okay, so he tried to facilitate all this revenge because he's in love with the lead, and the third episode is a complete clusterfuck. Like there is a thematic element of a confession stage, which ends in like a confession pile up between all of our leads, and they all pick the wrong option for what they want to do. Like, our lead does not confess to the genius queen girl. He confesses to his childhood friend. Genius queen girl is gutted. Childhood friend says no. Now they're all mad at each other. And Abe, the actor, is like, I planned this because I'm inspired by him. And I was just like, how did any of this happen? That's really my overwhelming thought about watching 3 episodes of the show, is just going, what is going on? And I will say, at least it doesn't look like this is going towards a school days thing where it's like everybody's going to kill each other. Doesn't seem like that. It is wholesome to a degree. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Plot points feel like they were drawn out of a hat, you know? And it doesn't look terrible. The dancing sequence in episode 3 was pretty bad, but just, you know, for wandering around, the designs are cute. You know, there's not action going on. It looks nice, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Teresa, what did you think?
Yeah, I was like, is it confession festival? I was like, is it actually a confession festival? Is this a translation thing that I was missing? And then they do start confessing, and it's all scream confessions, which really took me and all screaming declarations of love of like, will you go out with me? And the other girl has to be like, yes. But then our main characters all ruin it for themselves, and definitely feeling the vibes at the end of episode 3 that the friend and then the so-called villain Abe are just in love with the main character. So I was very confused, and I was like, well, if it goes into that and then they start dating, I'm kind of interested, but I don't think it's going that direction. And I was also I thought it was just me, but now obviously listening to everyone else, I was not just missing some things. It was literally skipping over and taking left turns, and I could not make heads or tails. Also the naming of everyone, especially when the Kachi was like, no, call me Shiro, no, call me this. And I was like, what is going on with these names? I can't keep track anymore. Just everyone pick one name and stick to it. And that is definitely not happening.
No, and Can I just also say that I almost thought this was based off of like some kind of softcore like porn or doujin or hentai or something, because it's like you see those comedic male students that like
Yeah.
get super mad and such. They have the creepiest designs to them.
Oh my
Oh god, those designs were just ugly AF.
And I get that's kind of the point. I guess like these are what the creeps would look like, but it's also like get these guys out of here. They offer nothing. They're not funny. And
they also bring me back to my initial confusion. Is everyone in this show famous? Because why are they following around the childhood friend if she's not famous?
because they have a little sister fetish, and it's like,
Oh, is that an actual line? Did I miss that?
no, but it's the closest thing I can assume, because nothing about this show makes sense. And then to add on to the little sister fetish, at the very end of the third episode, they introduce this girl who's watching this video in the back of this car, and she's like, "That's brother," and it's like, "Oh no." Like, no, do not introduce this shit.
I think she's the little girl in or not. She's not little, but she's the girl in the ED who looks like or the ending theme that looks like she's dressed to go to a steampunk festival, which just adds a whole other layer of what the fuck to all of this.
And something that was kind of a bummer, I was kind of curious about, was like they in the opening and like around the other characters, there's this one girl who's a slightly heavier set, or like, I guess thick, I don't know, who just kind of stands around, but she's like constantly in the opening of the show. And I'm like, okay, are we doing something with her? Who is this girl who keeps just quietly standing there while this chaos unfolds in front of her? Or is she the one causing all this chaos?
Okay,
Just
that
like,
was a great twist.
yeah. And so and I was just kind of disappointed that, like, man, they've done nothing with her, and she keeps being marketed in the opening, and I was whatever. This show is bonkers. I don't know if I'll watch it, but I kind of want to watch it just to know how the rest of this nightmare ball unfolds and such. But Mike, did you already say your piece on this?
No, not yet. Basically, because I want to move on to the last one. To boil my thoughts down as concise as possible, this feels like it was written like how most like cartoons will parody the soap opera formula of just twist after twist after twist, especially in episode 3 when all the reveals happen, and Kachi is revealed to be like the childhood friend from like that photo we see in, I think, episode 1.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, just like at least unlike Koikimo, the characters have varying degrees of likability. Like they're not all pieces of garbage, but I guess the way they are kind of like manipulating emotions is a little not cool. Really the only problem with the show is the lack of coherence. But if that's your type of crazy, then have at it. I'm sure like if this ever gets like an English dub, like I could see the cast like having fun with this and just leaning into the insanity of the material. But I cannot in good taste call it good.
Yeah, no, if you want a rom-com that's a better version of this, check out Oresuki, which is like a very interesting take on the rom-com harem kind of thing. And it's way more interesting than, well, it's better made, it's better handled than this. I can't say it's better made because it's like I want to see how insane this show goes. But let's talk about our final show tonight. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. So every day, Naoto Hachiuji, sorry if I butchered that name, is teased relentlessly by Hayashi Nagatoro, a first-year student he meets one day in the library while working on his manga. After reading his story and seeing his awkward demeanor, she decides for that moment on to toy with him, even calling him senpai. in lieu of using his real name. At first, Nagatoro's relentless antics are more bothersome than anything and leave him feeling embarrassed as he is forced to cater to her whims. However, as they spend more time together, a strange sort of friendship develops between them, and Naoto finds that life with Nagatoro can even be fun. But one thing's for sure, his days will never be dull again. So first off, this is not made by the same person who made Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. Do not compare the two shows. I mean, they're not made by the same person, but I can understand why. 2, I think this is better than Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. 3, I was not expecting this anime with this rom-com with a bully fetish to actually be the best rom-com of the season.
Right?
Like at least out of the new shows. And I think it helps that it knows how to balance, for the most part, Nagatoro's antics with some really good character animation and Naoto's interactions with her, and they find a way to balance it all out that makes it horny but also incredibly wholesome. Like they're actually teenagers. Like Nagatoro is this kind of like, you could tell she likes this guy, but she's going at it in the most like nonsensical way. It's like, oh, I actually like this guy. How do I get his attention?
You know how most parents will say, like, you know, if a girl's teasing you, that means she likes you. They basically take that premise and ramp it up to 11.
Nah, not even 11. This is a 20.
Yes.
And Haley, what did you think about this show?
This show is wild. I did genuinely enjoy this show. I think this premise it's one of those things where it could be really bad in the wrong hands, you know?
Yeah.
The first episode does push it a little too far for comfort levels, because like Nagatoro makes Senpai cry, and I'm like, and it was fine and playful up until the point where he starts crying. I'm just like, oh shit, what's going on? I think they could have easily excised that and made him just like super frustrated with this annoying chick who's telling him how to write manga. Even though she's got some pretty good ideas on how to write manga. Once we start getting into episode 2 and 3, it gets a lot more palatable in terms of the teasing and whatnot. The show does a good job from the beginning of making you aware that Nagatoro likes him in some sense. Like when she's first reading his manga, and the kind of bleach blonde terror girls in her friend group are just kind of being like, "Ow, look at this, that's a manga. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Okay, bye." She's like reading it and like blushing and into it, you know? So you get the sense from the beginning that she is trying to connect and is very, very bad at it, which goes a long way in making this premise palatable. If someone was dealing with this girl in real life, I would be telling them to cut it off, talk to somebody. But for a show that is definitely presenting a hyper realized romantic comedy premise, it's a lot of fun. I laughed the hardest at this show over all the others. The boob coupon episode was just like, that was delightful. Or when she runs into the art room with a hula hoop, like it's like a minute. It's only a minute, and she's in with a hula hoop, and he's just like, "Can you leave now?" Like, it's great. And then when they're starting to pull the actual romance out too, like when it's pouring rain and they get trapped in that shrine because she's like, "It's not that bad," and it's pouring, and he's like, "Yeah, it's that bad, you dumbass." And they're like getting close to each other, but not getting close to each other, and then getting close to each other, and then I can't remember what happens, but she like full blushes, turns away, and then just gets even more annoying. Like I like our two leads. They're really they bounce really well off of each other. And there, like I said, there's some iffy bits about it that easily could have been cut to make this, you know, a hyper dumb fantasy rom-com with just a ridiculous enemies and lovers kind of premise. I will say her friends I'm not a super fan of, and it seems like they're going to start playing more into the proceedings. So yeah, I think I last watched episode 4, and it looks like her friends are going to start getting into teasing him because Nagatoro likes Senpai, and I'm like, I don't like that. I just like hanging out with these two idiots.
Can I also say like how nice it is to see an anime where the male love interest is actually a character? Like he doesn't look like every like bog standard lead character in these kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he looks very he looks very much like himself.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate that both him and Nagatoro have pretty distinctive designs. Like, it really helps, especially in the episode where Nagatoro's friends try to set her up with the dumbasses, and they're just blank-faced, generic shonen templates, and like it makes the contrast really obvious when you see Senpai again.
Yeah. No, this show's art direction is very good. I mean, on top of Nagatoro having some of the best animation out of any character of this show, but she has probably one of the more nuanced characters of the season so far, like because she does all this relentless like joking around, trolling and teasing with our lead character, but you find out very soon and very quick she's very protective of him, and she doesn't do this with anyone else. Which obviously kind of reinforces that she has a crush on him, and her whole zany antics are to get his attention. Like you said, when her friend was like, "Hey, you should see these two guys," and she's like really passive aggressive, like, "You should just go die. I don't care." Or then like when she forces the main character to sit down with her and her also dumb friends, and she's like, "Yeah, I get to pet his hair. It's really fluffy and sticky at some points." And then one of her friends like tries to reach for it, and she's like, "You put that hand on him, your hand's gonna go missing, and you'll never be able to find it." And I can attest to the two friends that show up. They do play a bigger part, but Nagatoro seems to kind of come in and be like, if you touch him, you'll both be 6 feet underground somewhere in a desert. So do not touch him. And they do have they also have distinct personalities too. It's not turning into a harem comedy, thank goodness. But the show is expanding on the romance between these two, and it's really wholesome. Like I wasn't expecting this show to, but of course, if you do not stand bullying and such, you will not like this show. I can easily see this show being like, you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way people were talking about this show initially, I thought it was going to be just beyond the pale. So I was surprised when it was like, outside of a few elements, this works very well. This goes down easy.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to watch this show. Like it's like this and Dragon Goes House Hunting, and I forgot what the other one I mentioned. Were like my go-to comedies for this season. And Mike, what did you think about this show?
As I was watching this, I could not stop smiling because like the comedy is completely on point. Like the relationship between Senpai and Nagatoro almost kind of reminds me of. Did you guys ever see the anime Toradora?
Toradora.
Familiar with it, but I haven't seen it.
It kind of follows a little bit of that like enemies to lovers dynamic, but
this show, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Now like Nagatoro has some of like the most wild character animation, and I love how every time she's kind of like flailing around, her arms turn into noodles.
Just I mean, they go ahead.
Stuff like that is, stuff like that. All like the cut scenes of like different manga styles. Like those are always fun. Her reactions when literally anyone else tries to either tries to touch or make fun of Senpai. It's just like there are a lot of meme possibilities with Nagatoro's reactions.
I swear they made sure all the resources were with this character. Like, she is so well animated. She just looks amazing in motion. And the opening's also really good, and the ending's also pretty wholesome as well. And I don't really have that many complaints about the show. I think who would have thought this was going to be the best rom-com of the season,
Right?
I truly, based on what everyone was saying, thought I was going to hate this. Like that we were just going to be sitting there like, oh, all of the rom-coms made us claw our skins off.
Yeah. Oh man. But with that ends our look at the spring 2021 anime season.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
This was definitely a daunting season for sure. Now before we leave, I've got a couple questions. First of all, now that we've gotten through all 29 shows in spring, what would you say are like your definitive top 5?
Oh, that's tough. Like I have like about 10 that I can easily recommend, maybe 12.
There's
let's see.
stuff.
Let's see. Odd Taxi, Bakuden, To Your Eternity, Nagatoro, and I hate choosing. A tie between Joran and man, I don't know. Dragon Goes House Hunting. I don't know. I don't like doing it down to 5.
Yeah, I know. I didn't make it. I didn't make it easy. Haley, what about you?
I'm like going through my notes. I know for sure Vivi. Vivi was my favorite, I think, of everything. So Vivi definitely. Probably Odd Taxi and Joran. Like I'm going through my notes right now and I'm like, do I pick Pretty Boy Detective Agency over Shadow House? Do I make up for forgetting about Saint's magic power from the last episode? But in the end, obviously, I would recommend Koikimo. No,
obviously.
I think I'd go with Vivi, Joran, Odd Taxi, Tokyo Revengers, and Pretty Boy Detective Agency.
Nice. Teresa, what about you?
I didn't watch everything, but the only change I would say is Mars Red is definitely in my top 5 now. That I'm gonna finish. Vivi, Bakuten, Odd Taxi, and probably Shadow's House. There's definitely, like Cameron said, I'll probably finish about 10. But definitely the rom-coms are gonna be at the bottom of my list.
Yeah. Mike, what about you?
So, and I'm not necessarily putting these in any order. I would go Odd Taxi, Vivi, Joran, the Snow White Notes, and Mars Red.
I'm gonna change
number 6 would probably be To Your Eternity.
I'm gonna change out my number 5 to Tokyo Revengers, and my honorable 6th will go to the Saint's magic power as well. It just, the really good stuff was still really good, but it's also like, man, there was so much anime this season. I wish we didn't have as many. It kind of makes me think like, would I rather go through a winter 2021 situation again, or would I go through the disastrous summer 2020 season where there were only like 10 shows to talk about? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I want to see all the good stuff, but I don't want to go back to that. But there's too much, and the working conditions need to get better. But I also don't want to go back to summer 2020. That was one of the worst anime seasons I started with. Just, ugh.
I feel like a compromise would be if summer 2021 was like 20. I think 20 is like probably the sweet spot.
Because this is like, we're looking at all the new ones, but we're not counting all like the second seasons and such. And luckily a few anime have been delayed to the fall 2021 season, but it's like, it's not enough. And I mean, like, I don't know where all the money's coming from with Netflix. It's like Tommy Wiseau in the room. Like, how is he getting all this money? But I would rather so many of these get picked up by Netflix, or like Amazon used to pick up anime and then they just stopped. And or like Crunchyroll, or like something like Hulu or something. I don't know. Like it was too much. I can't wait to go through the summer season because I like doing these, but I know it's tough for a lot of y'all, and I always kind of feel bad, especially for this one, just with how many shows there were.
I'm honestly, I was the most excited for Shaman King because that was my teen year shonen show. Like that was what I was obsessed with. I'm glad that it's kind of like out of this bubble of all of these anime so I can watch it and appreciate it. Because if I had to cram it in with between all of these other ones, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much.
Same.
But, you
Same.
know,
It probably would have gotten lost a little, even though I hear great things about it from everyone who's watching it questionable means. But it's like I think I wouldn't have waited for like Odd Taxi if it went to Netflix or
Yeah. There's a couple of these shows that could have benefited from that. I could really see becoming like big binge watch topics. Like Odd Taxi is definitely one. I think Tokyo Revengers could have really picked up like that random Attack on Titan audience that suddenly popped up when they threw it on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had friends who don't watch anime who were like, just see Attack on Titan. Like I feel like Tokyo Revengers has that same kind of like, oh man, I'd be super into this. And like it just would I think those are the two that stick out to me where it would have been like, those would have made sense on Netflix.
Maybe also like Vivi or something like that. Because it's like, I mean, this is the one risk that weekly anime releases have is that like if you're not enjoying it, people are going to drop off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shown that Netflix anime that are all released in one season are not victims of that. Because it's like, Odd Taxi is probably my favorite anime of the season. I just love it to death. But nobody is watching it. Like Mother's Basement said, why aren't you watching Odd Taxi? People, like, golly, watch it. But Teresa, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely each season I'm besting myself on watching the most anime because of this group, which is great. But because I said I was doing this podcast, a couple of my friends were like, "Oh, I've kind of gotten back in anime. Like, what can you recommend?" And I was like, "Where do I start?" Because there's so many shows. But Odd Taxi is always the one that I've been saying. I'm going to be singing its gospels on the social media for the rest of the season and get as many people to convert as possible. Even if they're not into anime, I'm gonna be like, you need to watch this show. So that's definitely what I really liked. I just like how many genres are present and active each season, and there's just so much, but there's also too much. So a couple shows getting pushed back is almost good news for me.
Yeah. All right, Mike, I think that's it for us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us once again for our seasonal anime preview. Before we get out of here, Haley, where can everyone find you online?
I am still not anywhere. Please poke me in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'm the one complaining under Mike's post that I've watched too much goddamn anime. So.
And Teresa?
You can find me on almost any social platform at Teresa Electro, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And yeah, I'm easy to find, and I love to talk about anime, books, and plants.
Nice. Cameron?
You can find me on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. I am also in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. I'm, of course, the co-host of the animation podcast. I run my own website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows called The Other Side of Animation. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. You can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Look for us on Podchaser. And you can listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.